Talk Time with Little Scholars every Saturday. Come hear the scholars. We learn, we laugh, and we share our minds from peace building to technology, education, current affairs, and social life. Find us on YouTube, Upperboards, and SoundCloud. We have got big ideas just waiting for you. With voices young and stories bold, together we shine, together we grow. It's Talk Time with Little Scholars. This is a project of Excellence Foundation for South Sudan. Let's build a world where young minds flow.
Behind tables, visiting school, my colleagues from Horizon Academic School, good morning to you all. I am by the names Hadia Wilwal from Senior 3 Arts here in Horizon. I am here to give you a speech based on what has swallowed most of my fellow girls. And my speech on the topic of today is early marriage. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not a bride, but a potential president of South Sudan. Most people in our society nowadays say a girl's place or office is in the kitchen. But I say some girls belong in the state house. When people see me walking, they say that's the 150 cows. As we in Dinka, we all know that. And others whisper, that's the V8 waiting for the father. But let me say this clearly. I am not a cow, I am not a V8. But I am a girl with a brain, a vision, and a dream to become the first female president of South Sudan. I am here to speak for every girl who cannot speak, for a girl whose voice has been silenced by early marriage, poverty, and harmful culture. I think we all have heard of the scenario that has happened to a girl in Tony, a young girl in 2021 who has been forced to marry a 70-year-old man, not as the second, not the third, nor the fourth. None of us here can even accept to be the first wife if it is not love marriage, but a first one. Of course, we cannot accept. And do you know what her reward was? No. Her own father, the one who should protect her, pierced her eyes and made her blind for life. And another girl who had her ear cut off by her own father simply for rejecting a forced marriage. Ladies and gentlemen, this is all happening in our own country under our watch. So ladies and gentlemen, we are all here together just to stand against early marriage. They tell us you are included. They say women are given 35% representation in the government. But that's all in theory, not in reality. Even when laws are passed, they are not enforced. What is 35% when you are still fearing to speak in your own country? What is 35% if we girls are still being sold like goods and services as if we don't have voices? And out of all that, imagine, you'll be forced, you'll be like, I'm not going for that. All of us will reject. And yet, we all have to stand together against early marriage. And to the fathers and the uncles who are waiting for dowry, work hard like your fellow men. Let your daughters make you proud with degrees, not with gold earrings from first husbands. Educate her, empower her, and she will buy you a V8 with pride and respect. And on top of that, I am here not as a girl, but I'm speaking on behalf of all the girls of South Sudan. I have a dream, and it's not about marriage. My dream is to walk with the corridors of power, to stand at the United Nations, to build schools, not to sell girls, and to break the chains of silence and open doors of opportunities. As Malala Yousafzai said, we cannot all succeed if half of us are held back. And Nelson Mandela said, the youths of today are the leaders of tomorrow. And as I say today, I am not a bride, I am a leader. I am not for sale, but I am a girl who wants to be the first future female president of South Sudan. We all here have gathered just to stand against that. And with that, I say here in my conclusion, let's stand and rise and say no to early marriages, not to selling our daughters, but instead rise and say yes to girls in schools, yes to girls in parliament, in ministers and presidency. Who among us here does not want to be in the government? Of course, none of us wants to suffer with poverty and be forced in early marriage. We all want to hold our degrees and make our parents proud. And especially me, I have a dream to become the future female first president. It might sound funny, but that's what I want. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
That was a speech from the visiting school. We are going to also hear a speech from the visiting school. Please, the speaker of the visiting school, take the stage.
Life is a warrior of its own, giving us the tortures of its choice. Every time we try to resist it, it gives us the devastating blows, the hook, and the jabs in the most challenging situations. Dear judges, ladies and gentlemen, can you think of a time when life tried to knock you down? Who was your toughest opponent? Was it your friend? Was it your neighbor? Was it your relative? Was it your emotion? Or was it your own psychology? Mental illness is a disease that we acquire when we have let in our fears, when our fears are superior over us. They said, time heals all wounds, but not this one. Not the mental illness, not the stress, not the depression, not the anxiety, not even the emotional illness within me. Question to you all. Where does mental illness begin in a person? Does any one of you know? Big studies about this. I think even the entire family of Elite and the family of Horizon will love the study. Mental illness the questions of mental illness will hit you hard. Like, where does the likelihood of mental illness begin in a person? And if a person grows up with this, where did it all start from? Dear judges and ladies and gentlemen, this is in their childhood. This grows up with some of them. I now remember when I was 10 years old, my mother was diagnosed of appetite. It was not a simple situation because the sickness was really tense. She had fought the same battle for some good years. My mother fought hepatitis B for 3 good years. That day on the 3rd of Wednesday, May, I saw mom get choked, died in my own hand. It was really not easy. It was not easy seeing my mother dying in that irritating bed in the hospital. I became isolated after her burial. Like, I was depressed, I was stressed. I had that fear that I would not have any mother again. As time goes on, I even refused to associate with people. I could isolate myself. This grew up with me and it grew into culture. A few months ago, I could cry not because something had happened, but because of the wars that I'm fighting inside my own head. The stress, the depression that do not leave me any minute of the day. Mental illness, ladies and gentlemen, and childhood trauma is real. It's really real that we see the people near us going through it. I think most of you might have gone through this feeling, not me alone. And now, how do we say mental illness is? Mental illness is not an event. It is not an event. It is just a reaction towards the thing that has happened. If today something happened and you react towards it, that one will give you the depression, the anxiety, the stress, mistrust, discontent. You will even disconnect from people. I remember Tati. Tati is my good friend. Tati introduced me to Dr. Roscoe. Dr. Roscoe was a therapist, ladies and gentlemen. He could talk to me. Dr. Roscoe will call me and say, Achol, this is normal. Parents die. You also will die, but not now. By the way, I was shocked. Him telling me you will die. That day, I slowed down and I thought about what he said. He was actually an orphan. He lost both the parents. So Dr. Roscoe could talk to me. I just realized that it is just my reaction that I became depressed. I became stressed. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in this gathering, I know some of you are happy, some are depressed, some are stressed, maybe by one reason or the other. But as a community who are staying together, what do we do to help these people? You can be a therapist of your friend. This judge can be a therapist of the other judge. You can be the therapist of your neighbor. Ladies and gentlemen, our community is our own. And you are because I am because you are. How we move. Smiling in front of you right today because of my friend. My friend lifted me up. How many friends have lifted you up? I'm an example. My friend lifted me. Tati lifted me and I appreciate that. Let's take this stress out of stress and see the outcome. I said all this for justice, liberty, and prosperity.
You have been listening to Talk Time with Little Scholars, where young minds speak loud and proud. Catch us every Saturday on YouTube, Upperboards, and SoundCloud, brought to you by the Excellence Foundation for South Sudan, giving children a voice, one episode at a time.